Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 7th Annual Seoul Climate Energy Conference 2020. I am Corinne Valarche, the MC for today's conference and a student of the Green Business and Policy Program. It is a great pleasure and honor for me to be here today at this special conference co-organized by the KAIST Graduate School of Green Growth and Coalition for Our Common Future. This year's theme is Green Finance and Business Creation in the Climate Crisis Era. We have invited experts and leaders from all over the world in the fields of climate and energy. Today, there will be 5 plenaries on the themes of climate crisis and global leadership, Green New Deal and green finance, sustainable development and green business creation, student research presentation, and voice from the young. This year, the conference will be held online and will be live streamed through KAIST's official YouTube channel. I again want to thank you for participating in today's conference and hope this will be a meaningful experience for all of you. We will now begin the opening ceremony of the 7th Annual Seoul Climate Energy Conference 2020. To celebrate the opening of conference, Cho Myung-dae, Minister of the Environment for the Republic of Korea, has sent us some celebratory remarks. Let's watch the message.
안녕하십니까. 환경부 장관 조명래입니다. 카이스트 녹색성장대학원과 사단법인 우리들의 미래에서 기후위기 시대의 녹색금융과 녹색창업을 주제로 서울 기후에너지 컨퍼런스를 개최하는 것을 뜻깊게 생각하며 이렇게 중요한 자리에 함께하게 된 것을 기쁘게 생각합니다. 뜻깊은 자리를 마련해 주신 신성철 카이스트 총장님을 비롯해 야닉 클라마렉 GCF 사무총장님과 연사 여러분 그리고 참여하시는 모든 분들께 감사 말씀을 드립니다. 올해 장마는 유난히 길었고 태풍의 피해도 컸습니다. 우리나라뿐만 아니라 세계 곳곳이 폭염과 가뭄, 폭우, 역대 최악의 산불로 몸살을 앓았습니다. 이러한 기후변화 위기를 벗어나기 위해 전 세계는 탄소 중립 사회를 향해 뛰기 시작했고 경제 질서의 변화도 가속화되고 있습니다. EU와 미국은 탄소 국경세를 도입해 탄소 집약도가 높은 산업에 대한 규제를 강화하는 방안을 검토 중에 있으며 글로벌 기업과 금융사도 친환경 기업을 중심으로 납품 기업과 투자 대상을 한정하려는 움직임이 확산되고 있습니다. 이러한 경제 질서의 변화에서 앞으로는 국가와 기업이 온실가스 배출을 얼마만큼 줄일 수 있느냐에 따라 경쟁력과 가치를 평가받는 시대가 오게 될 것입니다. 탄소 중립 경제로 나가기 위해서는 정부 차원뿐만 아니라 기업의 참여가 필수적입니다. 기업이 시장에 진출하는 첫 발자국이 창업이고 기업을 움직이는 가장 강력한 힘이 금융입니다. 기후환경 문제 해결에 대한 창업가의 핵심적인 아이디어와 도전이 활발하게 이루어지고 기후환경 문제 해결에 앞장서는 기업이 투자도 잘 받을 수 있을 때 녹색 경제로의 전환이 가능할 것입니다. 환경부는 그린 뉴딜의 일환으로 유망 창업 아이디어와 기업을 발굴하고 이들이 성공적으로 시장에 안착하도록 지원을 하고 있습니다. 아울러 기업의 환경 문제 해결 노력에 금융이 든든하게 지원할 수 있도록 금융위 등 관계부처 협업을 통해 녹색 금융의 제도적 정착도 추진하고 있습니다. 또한 녹색 분류 체계를 마련하고 환경 책임 투자를 위한 표준 평가 체계를 구축하는 등 녹색 금융 활성화 기반을 마련해 나갈 계획입니다. 앞으로도 환경부는 그린 뉴딜과 2050 탄소 중립 목표의 성공적 이행을 위해 기업 및 금융기관과 지속적으로 협업하고 재정적, 제도적 지원을 확대해 나가겠습니다. 이 자리가 녹색 금융과 녹색 창업을 촉진하고 우리의 경제사회의 녹색 전환에 기여할 수 있기를 바라며 참석하신 모든 분들의 앞날에 건승을 빕니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Minister Cho. Next, I would like to welcome Shin Sang-chul, President of KAIST.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the 7th Seoul Climate Energy Conference, live streaming from Seoul. I'm Sang-chul Shin, President of KAIST. Thank you to all our speakers at home and abroad, and all the participants watching online. I would especially like to extend my appreciation to the Minister of Environment, Myung-rae Jo, and Green Fund Executive Secretary, Yannick Klemarek, for your remarks. Thank you to the keynote speakers, Professor David Victor from the UCSD, Professor Ma Jun from Tsinghua University, Senior Advisor at the Bank of England, Michael Seren, and Director of Asia Society Policy Institute, Alistair Lidke, for your participation. I also like to recognize our distinguished speakers from the government. Thank you to Deputy Minister of Environment, Seok-tae Hwang, Director General for Energy Innovation Policy at the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy, Jong-il Kim, Director General Dong-gyu Lee at the National Council on Climate and Air Quality of Korea, and former First Senior Deputy Governor of the Financial Supervisory Service, Kwang-yeol Yu. I would also like to congratulate and thank the President of the Jeju Research Institute, Sang-yeop Kim, head at the KAIST Graduate School of Green Growth, Ji-yong and the Chairman of the Coalition for Our Common Future, Hoon Gu-yeol, for organizing this conference. Thank you to the head of the KAIST Graduate School of Finance, Kang-woo Park, and Director of the Global Strategy Institute at KAIST, Jong-ho Kim, for your efforts to help this forum open. Distinguished participants, for the past 6 conferences, distinguished speakers all around the world have engaged in heated face-to-face discussion on climate change. It has become our tradition. Actually, nobody would ever imagine that we would have to adapt to the new norm of a non-contact format this year. The pandemic threat should be nothing new, given the fact that we failed to care for our ecosystem properly for decades. I think this is a wake-up call. Pope Francis has said the coronavirus pandemic is one of the nature's responses to humans ignoring the current ecological crisis. Scientists also say that climate change has already made conditions more favorable to the spread of some infectious diseases. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also stressed that we need to make a clean and green transition for a full recovery from the pandemic. In that sense, the theme of today's conference, Green Finance and Business Creation in the Climate Crisis Era, resonates the common response we should pursue against the climate change and the pandemic. The Korean government has also declared its intention to go carbon neutral by 2050, bringing it in line with other major economies. This is another important step forward. However, we will struggle to achieve the net zero emissions without fundamental changes in energy policy, public awareness, and engagement in practice. When civilians actively engage by working for innovative green finance, startup, and entrepreneurship without relying on government's budget, it will help us reach net zero. Recently, the Ministry of Environment selected the KAIST Graduate School of Green Growth as one of the educational institutions focused on sustainability and green finance. I think this selection is the general public's call for us to play a key role in advancing net zero. I would like to take this opportunity to offer my appreciation to the government for supporting us. In addition, KAIST also launched its New Deal initiative in May with funding from Korean government to cope with the coronavirus. KAIST will concentrate on antivirus technologies, infectious disease-related big data management, and non-contact service platforms. Albert Einstein once said, "We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we create them." I could not agree more. We need to solve our new challenges with outside-the-box, science-based thinking. This is a time we should turn to new opportunities that can lead to innovation explosions. This is KAIST's mission in the years ahead. Distinguished guests, global problems need global solutions. Individual countries and institutions cannot solve these unprecedented global challenges by themselves. In order to help us address global issues, I established the Global Strategy Institute, namely GSI, last year. The GSI's 4 sub-centers on mid and long-term vision building, science and technology, the fourth industrial revolution, and sustainability are making every effort to address global challenges through multidisciplinary approaches and global collaborations. Last but not least, we should double down on our efforts to hand over a sustainable future to the next generations. When we continue to kill for the global irresponsibly, we might pass over an inhabitable earth to them. In that context, I'm very delighted to host a Voice from Young session for graduate school students. We should listen carefully to what they have to say and work to empower them. US President-elect Joe Biden said his administration will rejoin the Paris Climate Accord very soon and will actively pursue global collaboration for sustainable growth, which is very good news to us. I look forward to this conference serving as an opportunity to collect and disseminate our wisdom for the prosperity and sustainability of the entire planet. Well, KAIST will celebrate its 50th anniversary next February. We'll do our utmost to make a new leap forward to becoming a university that will benefit all of humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Shin, for your kind words emphasizing innovation and the need for thinking outside the box. Next, we have invited a renowned speaker for the opening speech. I am pleased to welcome Yannick Glemarek, Executive Director of the Green Climate Fund.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your geographic location. It's a privilege to join this distinguished assembly of speakers to make some introductory remarks at the 7th Seoul Climate Energy Conference 2020. And I would like to thank Dr. Kim Sang-yup as the co-chair of this conference for his kind invitation. We are running out of time. Average global temperature is currently estimated to be 1.1 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial times. Based on existing trends, the world could cross the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold within the next 2 decades, and 2 degrees Celsius threshold early during the second half of the century. The drop in carbon emission from coronavirus lockdowns in 2020 is expected to have a negligible effect on average global temperature. However, strong green economic recovery measures from the COVID-19 pandemic that invest in low carbon technologies, practices, and infrastructures, and do not bail out carbon intensive industries could cut warming by 0.3 degrees Celsius and put us back on track to avert catastrophic climate change. We must not repeat the errors of the past. In many countries, austerity measures implemented in response to the 2008 debt crisis have significantly constrained the ability of governments to spend on infrastructure development and maintenance, as well as on technologies and skill development. A business as usual scenario could create an infrastructure gap of $1 to $4 trillion per year by 2030, severely impairing our capacity to meet the Paris Agreement's goals, as the financing requirement for green climate resilient investment will not be met. We need nothing short of a global financial transition to put us on track. We must green existing investment and also secure the new investment required to deliver green growth. Securing additional investment will be particularly critical for developing countries. They do not have the fiscal and monetary space of G20 economies to finance large economic stimulus measures. COVID-19 is increasing the need for green investment to revive economies on low-emission climate-resilient development pathways. But it is reducing the public resources available to developing countries. Catalyzing private investment to foster a low-emission climate-resilient recovery is vital to supplement public resources. But there is an array of financing and entrepreneurial barriers to private green investment. On the financing side, that is because market risk is misaligned with climate reality. Markets need information to price climate physical transition and legal risk. Those risks must be balanced against the higher upfront capital requirement, longer payback period, and greater technological novelty of green investment. Furthermore, financiers need financial products to invest that meet their fiduciary requirement and internal investment appraisal skills. And they also need a robust flow of bankable projects that create the investment opportunities. On the entrepreneurial side, project developers face a range of policy, institutional, and technical barriers to convert investment opportunities into bankable projects. Even the best wind resources in the world will not make wind energy competitive if fossil fuels are heavily subsidized, or if it takes 3 years to get an operating license, or if they do not have access to the green technologies and skills they need. The Green Climate Fund is the world's largest dedicated fund supporting climate actions in developing countries. We are working with our partners to remove financing and entrepreneurial barriers to green resilient investment in order to accelerate the transition to low-emission climate-resilient development pathways in developing countries. To do so, we have adopted a 4-pillared approach. First, we support developing countries to create integrated climate and sustainable development strategies. This fosters the establishment of a conducive policy environment for green resilient investment. Second, we encourage and pilot innovations. We support innovations in policy, institution, business, finance, and technology. Third, we scale up successful climate investment. We do this through tools like blended finance, as well as through dedicated climate financing facilities and institutions. Fourth, we create and share knowledge. Sharing knowledge and lesson learned promote the incorporation of climate risk into every single financial decision. In this way, finance can be aligned with sustainable development. GCF is supporting a portfolio of about $24 billion with a co-financing from GCF of $7 billion. GCF co-financing usually takes the form of grant for policy or project development and concessional first loss non-grant instruments to de-risk first of its kind private investment. I hope that the Green Finance and Business Creation Conference will encourage new initiatives and partnerships and help drive the public and private financial transition to a sustainable and resilient future for all. Merci for your attention. Kamsahamnida.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, Executive Director Yannick Glemarec. And with this, we end the opening ceremony of the 7th Annual Seoul Climate Energy Conference 2020. Thank you again for your full participation.